Hello there, my name is Antavius Brown,
I'm Rosie.
Yeah, I'm Brian.
and today we're going to be talking about persuasive speeches. In our book, Essential Communication, it explains that after the speaker provides his claims, then the speaker must follow it up with evidence to help persuade. Evidence is supporting material that the speaker uses to prove a type of claim. So, why do you think it's important to provide evidence when trying to persuade someone?
I think it's important because if you're giving a persuasive speech, for example, like you need to use evidence to back up what you're saying so that way your audience will understand what you're saying. Like if you're just giving a speech to persuade someone on how your product is better than a different product, for example, if you don't have statistics to show that how your product is better, and you're just saying, oh yeah, it's better because it makes your teeth whiter, or it's better because it's more healthy, but you don't have statistics to back it up, then they probably won't believe you.
Yeah, I agree.
It falls back on describing what you're telling the audience in more so of meaning and the intent of what you're talking about, of the content of what you're trying to persuade them of. Some of the audience could be like, that's the first time they ever heard of it. So, giving them a storybook at the beginning, enlightening them of what the items are, will help them persuade them to better understand the intent of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Making sure you provide evidence of what you're trying to persuade is basically how you're gonna buy them, how they're gonna wanna do it. So, in online, I found an article on ways to persuade your audience, and it explains 3 different steps on how to persuade its audience. Step 1 is the main thing a speaker needs to do is convince the audience that they know what they're talking about. And step 2, it's also in order to use persuasion, make sure you understand who your audience is so the message is getting across clearly. 3, make sure you cite your sources. And so, do you agree or disagree with any of these steps? Why or why not?
I agree with them because I feel like the first thing that you should do is basically like describe what you're going to talk about, like what they said. Main thing is to make sure you're trying to convince audience and that they know that you're what you're talking about. And then step 2 is making sure that they're, what did you say? That they get their message clearly. So like wanting to make sure that you're saying how you're saying your persuasive speech or something, you're saying it to the correct vocabulary to the correct audience, because you don't want to talk about hard vocabulary and your audience doesn't know what you're talking about. You know, like they don't understand anything that you're saying. So it's always good to know like who your audience is and using the right terminology for it. And then step 3, like always, when you always want to cite or where you're getting information from, so that way that your audience knows that you kind of know what you're talking about, and not just coming up with the statistics and just talking, basically.
True.
In mathematical equation, we look at the facts over fiction, and sometimes what we cite is not all that true either. So you really have to look in deep in the citations and find the real truth through information. It's good to brainstorm and get better ideas of what the whole population's doing compared to your target market. And sometimes your audiences, you got to look at your audience and who you're going to gear to already, so you can redefine what your meaning is, so the content of what you're saying is that much stronger.
Yeah, I agree. Understanding who you're talking to is a big part of getting them to buy into what you're talking about. And going into basically what we were just talking about, our book also discusses that persuasive speakers should adapt to your specific audience. So your specific audience is called a target audience, and target audience is the subgroup of people that you must persuade to reach that goal. So who would be a target audience if you're trying to persuade that drinking water or drinking Gatorade helps you run faster? So who would you think that target audience would be, and why?
For me, I would think it would obviously be athletes. That's the number one thing. Is you see like Nike and Adidas, they always use like Gatorade. They always use like the Gatorade bottle and then like little sayings on if you drink this, you'll run faster. I think the reason why they target athletes is because they know athletes need to hydrate, and they know that athletes drink Gatorade. And if they promote it that way, then they're gonna get more people wanting to drink Gatorade because it thinks that they run faster on how they're advertising and persuading people. So.
And in the target market strategies of what marketing does is also about the product, but they're looking for the target words like key indicators like fast, metabolism, stuff that energizes the community of the athletes. You got schools, you got stores that can wholesale it. Many avenues of approach of selling the product, but the key factor is the target market is at first is really to flood the gate and get the product known out there to people. So many industries, they were giving free products out at the beginning because they just wanted to publicize it and flood out the gates.
Yeah, I agree. So I would say that I would make my target audience to be athletes too, because you wouldn't want to be talking to non-athletes trying to get them to run faster because they don't run.
In many cases, this is a true fact that most colleges are already a target market. You look at the fact that college books change every year. That's just an example. But again, going back into the energy drink of Gatorade, you got to look at the factors of what do they sell at the colleges.
Yep, that wraps up our conversation. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.